the Wachowskis are my mortal enemies. And not because, like, of Speed Racer. No. In fact, I don't think the movie was that bad. Yeah, that's right, I said it. I don't think Speed Racer movie was that bad. But the reason they were my mortal enemies is because they introduced us to the Matrix, which has now been co-opted by not only the manosphere, but the whole alt-right people, but specifically the scene with the pills, the red pill or the blue pill. And if you haven't seen the Matrix, weird. Why have you not seen the Matrix? It's pretty influential, you know? But there's a scene in which Neo is offered by Morpheus, played by Lawrence Fishburne, you know, who's also in John Wick. And I think Carrie-Anne Moss is in John Wick 4. So we're going to have like a Matrix reunion, but a better version, hopefully, and not like it was in the Matrix movie that came out, Matrix 4, because that one didn't actually have Lawrence Fishburne in it. They had Yahya, but you know, he's good. But I'm getting off track. So Morpheus offers Neo an option. You either take the blue pill or the red pill. Now, if he takes the blue pill, then he will be, you know, back to his reality, complacent, none the wiser, right? But if you take the red pill, then you open your eyes to the true truth of the universe, and you can never go back. So what they do now is they say, if you're red pilled, it's like, I have been awakened, I see the truth, and you guys are all stuck in the Matrix. The Matrix is out to get me, says a guy who may or may not have lung cancer. But the term red pill has become so synonymous with alt-right movements that effectively, if you are a red pillar, you are a white supremacist, you are misogynist, you're all these things. And it's not just me saying that. Well, I mean, I am saying that, but I have a reason to say this. If you are aware of TikTok, pretty popular platform, there's this person on there. Her name is Just Pearly Things. And I consider her to be my nemesis. And she's never interacted with me, thank God. But I have been forced to see her content, whether it's, you know, on my For You page or someone else's page or whatever. And me being who I am, there's a part of my brain that's just like, this is not good for your mental health, but we're going to do it anyways. And so I was looking up just like stuff, you know, because originally I was doing a video about just podcasts and how not everyone needs to have a podcast. And I think some people need to have a license to have a podcast. And I even found some images and videos. I was going to just be like, hey, you guys, we have the same conversations over and over and over and over and over again, and they're dumb, and we need to stop doing that. And that was going to be the video. And I was going to use one of Just Pearly Things videos because she has nothing but bad takes. But then I saw she did an interview with a white supremacist, and that kind of pricked my interest because from what I could tell, Pearl is not like a debater. She's not anyone who's going to like push on things. So I was curious to see like what this conversation is going to be about, and then I saw the conversation and I'm like, oh god, she's platforming a neo-Nazi and is not doing anything to like not get him from spreading his bullshit ideologies. So I did react to a video. I am uploading it. I'll put a piece of it here for you guys just to get a sample of it.
These rapid transformations are happening, and what has changed? It's destroying the way things used to be. And
what would those again? I'm sorry, I'm doing Hassan right now, but he doesn't give detail to what those things used to be. He's not telling you what they're destroying. He's leaving it to your imagination. But we all know what he's saying is these immigrants, these non-white people coming to this country are destroying our white livelihood. That's what he's talking about. And that's why he's trying to phrase his words, like I said, very carefully. But it's very clear to anyone with the working brain cells that he's hinting at that. Because this man is fundamentally a white supremacist. And my God, Pro, push back on something.
you can have a little bit of that, but you can't have a lot of it rapidly in every sector, which is what's happening. Technologically,
what do you mean by rapidly?
In terms of the demographics,
what
culturally.
do you mean that's what's happening?
Oh my God. Okay, thank you. Wow. Maybe she's not so terrible at this.
That's what's happening in America. What's happening is a rapid pace of change in everything. Like human beings 100 years ago were on a horse and buggy, and everybody believed in God, and when women wore veils in church. And look at what it's like today.
You could get a virgin bride.
Yeah.
God damn it, Pearl. I give you credit for 2 seconds, and this is what you do. No, push back on that. He's just repeating himself. People used to ride on buggies 100 years ago and go to everyone loved church and went and loved God. Okay, what does that have to do with anything? Just, You should watch the whole video. Watch me lose my mind slowly but surely. Pearl is the perfect example of what happens when someone red pills. If you look at her content, and I'm not exaggerating, all of her content is centered around one idea. And it is that women are trash and need to do everything they can in order to get men. That is all her content. It's, oh, Pearl destroys feminists, or, Pearl annihilates feminists. And just a lot of Pearl destructive adjective feminist stuff. Or sometimes it'd be like, women aren't to blame. We shouldn't shame women. Why women should be shamed, and just all awful things. And you take just awful, terrible things. And she does this because, like people who get red pill, she's of the belief that the quote unquote old ways were the best ways, right? Where women were in one position and men were in the other position. That's her stance on this. And I'm using her as an example because A, like I said before, I don't like her content. I think she's honestly a terrible human being. But B, it highlights how white supremacy is not just white dudes going around with tiki torches and murdering people. Don't get me twisted. They still do those things. But it's not just that. If you guys ever heard of the Dogs of the Confederacy, how no one really talks much about them, but they're equally as fucked up as the KKK. This is more like that. It's more insipid. It's less obvious. Because she presents it like, oh, well, she dresses mostly traditional, like more conservative. Like in this video that I showed, yeah, she's showing more of her legs, but she's more conservative when she dresses. That is by design. She likes to wear, pearl necklaces. Her name is Pearl, but also that invokes the old 1950s housewife thing. She pushes out those ideals, but she does it in a way that's like a repackaged and more digestible version of white supremacy. If you see any of her videos and when she's interviewing women, she's always on the attack for women. She's always attacking them. She will defend men no matter what, no matter the circumstance. She will go out of her way to defend men, and she will always attack women.
Women should know.
Huh?
I don't think women should know.
Lord Jesus, keep on going.
Yeah,
No
it.
women, you can't vote. No birth control. Keep it going.
Yeah, no, because it's always freedom without responsibility. And
I
so,
love
like,
it.
the
Women
reason
should not
No,
vote.
but
Pearly
but
said it herself.
I'll tell you why, though. I'll tell you why. Because there's freedom without responsibility. Like, I believe in consequences for your decision. So the men know if they vote someone batshit crazy into power, you guys get drafted. We don't.
The only women she won't attack are the women who think just like her. If you think just like her, you are her best friend. If you have any deviation in idea, she will attack you. And what she likes to do too is have groups. So there'll be like one person who's like, you know what? I think, pancakes are a really good breakfast meal. And you'll have 5 other people who are pro waffles, including Pearl.
We had Christianity and Catholicism sort of like brought into commonplace. There was quite a lot more goddesses within religion, and it was beautiful. There's still only about 8 or 9 matriarchs left in societies today, up to 4 million.
Because they don't work.
They do, and they're up to 4 million.
How do they? What society has run on a matriarchy?
Oh, please let me tell you.
Go ahead.
Oh, let me tell you. So there's a
that has
couple.
stood the test of time.
Yeah, so there's a couple. There's a couple Tibetan ones. There's some Indian ones. Some in South America.
Some Tibetan ones. Some Indian ones.
They're Christian. They're Buddhist. Loads of different religions. But basically, let me tell you, in those societies, men have also got big leadership roles. And the one differing part of it is the fact that, number one, the women are leading, right? But also it's equal, fair share, pay, food, resources.
But
which we don't have in society
if
today.
it worked,
which is a good thing.
But if it works,
okay, capitalist.
If it works so well, why have we never heard of them?
Why would we heard it? Heard of them?
Because they would be powerful countries.
But
they would
we
be
wouldn't-
successful.
We wouldn't hear about them.
Yes, you would.
Because we live in a capitalist world.
Have you heard of China? Have you heard of Russia?
Well,
Capitalism,
you just okay. Well, why are we in a capitalist world? Because it won.
talks.
Because it won.
Money talks.
Because it's superior. It's superior to socialism.
Money
So
is
why do you think?
power.
Why do you think the whole world, all the
And that's the format. you have these not even this debate, they're just yelling at each other, trying to just argue each other down like my point's better. And anytime she gets any sort of pushback, she fucking crumbles. I have seen so many videos against my will again of her arguing against Destiny, and I don't know why, because Destiny is a far better debater than she ever could be.
Women wanted.
I mean, I think it kind of goes back to like women out earning men have a hard time respecting the men they're with.
That's not true.
That's not true.
That's not true.
I actually read into that data.
It's not true.
I read into that data and it explained why. So a lot of the time the women reported that they had way too much responsibility in the marriage. So they were expected to be in charge of the household duties and still work a job. And they had to...
Oh, come on. What % of modern women actually cook?
It was.
Like,
Wait. That is. But that's
20% of the men, when both parents are working, only 20% actually reported to doing household duties. That's scary when you're both working.
I mean, I'm just saying the shit's automated nowadays. I mean, you have a washing machine, a dishwasher.
Yeah, but so
Sure,
you have
you can
to
say,
put
but
it in
even
the
at that,
washer
but
machine.
as much as it's automated, men still don't do it.
Yeah, still don't do it.
They still don't do it. That's
look at-
that's the issue. Is that one of the big problems with
That's not a reason
households?
for divorce.
It absolutely is a reason.
Chores?
When you
Oh,
get older and you manage a household on your own, Pearl, you'll see how fucking annoying it is when you're working and then you come home and everything is fucked up and horrible and nobody's fucking cleaning anything. Yeah, that is a totally valid reason for divorce, of course.
Chores to break up a home,
Pearl,
a family.
Have you
kids.
lived in a filthy home
Divorce.
before?
You've never lived with a difficult person.
If it is consistent where you're consistently having to have that burden upon yourself, you keep telling him, please, can you clean up?
Like, it's so
He
funny
just
because like
doesn't
lifelong friends from like grade school to high school will dorm in college and then hate each other forever over like bad dorm roommates, and that's not even a relationship. So yeah, of course I think stuff like this is perfectly valid. I think splitting up
And another
splitting up duties in the household is like one of the most important parts of like a relationship, because it's where you're spending most of the time together. This is why I say, people get triggered when I say it, I don't think you're even dating until you live together, because until you live together, you don't really know who the other person's like. And once you start living together and you see what the household duties are like, then you get a feel for what the relationship is.
I mean, I just think that, like, I don't know. I feel like that stuff can be worked out. Chores, like,
hold on, wait. Do you understand? Hold on, wait.
things.
You're not saying anything. Do you do this intentionally? Where you're like, I don't know about that. We're telling you. I'm telling you that.
I mean, that's you're giving your opinion. I'm giving.
I'm not giving an
mine.
opinion. I'm saying that in a household, this is not an opinion. I'm putting this forward as fact. In a house, delineation of chores is one of the most important things. That if somebody's constantly destroying the bathroom, leaving clothes everywhere, leaving dirty food in the sink, they can't clean their dishes or whatever. Like, these things will destroy anything over time.
Yeah, but that's what she said. She said, "I'm sure we can work it out." That's
Well, but
like,
they obviously can't because they're not, though.
They're not working
They're not
it
working
out.
it
That's
out.
the problem. That's what's led to the
Then
divorce.
maybe these women that are making all this money, that they're making so much money working, and they don't want to do the house chores. Maybe they should go and get an older guy with more money so they can go and employ a maid and a cook.
What?
Yeah.
You guys
Maybe
just
they
be
should
saying
do that.
anything, man.
That's another issue too, is she does not provide any sort of like intellectual argument. She just throws out these data points, kind of like what Nick Fuentes does, but she throws out these points but without any context and with no sources or anything like that. Like, she'll say some shit like, well, 70% of divorces, are 70% of marriage in the divorce, and then doesn't look into the reasons why that could be. And then when someone tries to explain that to her, like, hey, maybe it's because like these men aren't offering anything, then instead of looking at that way, she's like, well, what are these women offering? It's always like the women's fault if something goes wrong. If a relationship doesn't pan out, it's the woman's fault. If a man leaves, if a man cheats, if a man abuses, it's the woman's fault. You did something wrong. He's cheating on you because you aren't providing for him, because women nowadays don't cook or clean. They just, all they know how to do is eat hot chip, dance, and be bisexual. They don't do anything. And I'm like, this mentality happening right now is not a surprise. When we look at the rise of right-wing extremism, what is the kind of women that they prefer? The trad wife, right? The you stay at home, you cook, you clean, you stay out of men's business. And essentially, they want to go back to a time where toxic masculinity was not only accepted, but demanded, right? Where the men do everything physical and they do with money, and the women just stay home and be pretty. And again, if that's what you want to do as a person, that's fine. I mean, not the wife supremacy part, but it's fine if you want to do it as a human being. But the way that's being pushed as if this is the way to save your soul or to save the fabric of our society is wrong. All of that's wrong. But that's her standpoint. And that's one of the main reasons why I just don't like her content. Everything she says is just a bad take. Like, it's a terrible take. I'm confident enough to say that I think I could just play any video and you would just hear an awful take of hers. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to play a video of hers just at random, and then I'll let you guys see and see for yourself. Like, yeah, all hot takes are bad.
The idea of being well traveled is a giant red flag for most men, because typically when a woman, if I look at a woman's Instagram page and I see pictures of her on a private jet, on a yacht, in multiple different fancy locations, she's in Mykonos here, she's in Paris, she's in Dubai, she's in New York, my immediate assumption is this woman is a hoe.
Yep.
You have already automatically
not even just a hoe, and just a free hoe.
You have assumed that the women that are traveling everywhere are going and living a luxurious lifestyle. They could have been backpacking all over Europe.
I mean, the example I just gave is clearly a woman who's been flown out by a man.
Yeah,
right.
Very, very
that's
clear.
A very different
and probably because there's different cities, probably different men.
Exactly.
But he's trying to tell you what he wants, and you're trying to tell him that's not.
I'm not telling him what he wants. I'm trying to understand.
I'm wrong. I don't want. Apparently I don't want that.
Oh no,
it's like to guys. Most girls that travel around from city to city, they're sleeping around. So it's like if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. How is he supposed to know that it's not a duck? Especially when women lie.
Then you have a conversation with the person. That's why I would.
Yeah. I didn't watch the video yet because that's not how editing works. But I'm confident. So I said yeah. And I'm sure I'm correct. And if I'm not correct, leave a comment and be like, hey, you were wrong. She actually has great takes. And then you can tell me where these imaginary great takes are. But I don't think she has great takes. I also don't think she should be having white supremacists on her videos in the thumbnails promoting their service, promoting Rumble, which is where the alt-right goes to post video because they can't post it on YouTube because they are white supremacists. Don't need to be platforming them, especially because you've proven you're not well equipped to have them on your platform. You cannot platform individuals who speak harmful rhetoric and not push back against that rhetoric. By not pushing back, you are co-signing it. And by labeling your video, is Nick Fuentes racist, and then never getting into it, you're complicit in this shit. And again, that makes sense because that's where that ideology that she has comes from. It's all wrapped in white supremacy. That's why she's so comfortable having people who are extremely misogynistic and virulent towards women on her streams and shit. Because that's they adhere to the same ideology. It may not be she may not be holding the tiki torches, but she probably went and bought them. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole thing I want to talk about here. There's a danger with this mentality because it aligns so perfectly with the wants and needs of white supremacists, and they take that as validation. That, oh, men desire me, but they don't look at why they're being desired and why those men are so anti-women who have, their own independence, because if they don't have to rely on them, then their whole concept of supremacy, sorry, I said that weird, the whole concept of supremacy falls apart. How can you be the number one, the most dominant, white male when you can't even control your women, right? And so if women like that, like Pearl, show that they could be subservient, they have value to them. And for people like Pearl, value to men is all that matters.